Trump registered for the draft after he graduated from the New York Military Academy. He received 4 education deferments while he was at Fordham and Wharton. Then, September 1968, Trump, starting his real estate career, got a medical deferment because of a bone spur in his foot.
I had deferments because of college, like a lot of people did. Numerous deferments because of college, and I had a foot thing, and I had deferment for that.
You said draft dodger, but his medical record's saying that he has bone spurs and he couldn't serve in the actual military. Here's the record, so yeah, there's that.
We also don't fight with stupid rules of engagement. We untie the hands of our warfighters to intimidate, demoralize, hunt, and kill the enemies of our country.
Those are the words of a potential war criminal, right there. And that is not the advice and counsel and direction that any Secretary of Defense should be providing our soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines. It puts them actually in greater danger. The Secretary of Defense is a disgraced major that was kicked out of the DC National Guard. He has no qualifications whatsoever to be the Secretary of Defense other than his extreme loyalty to the president. Again.
Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory due to Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rukakadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone that rule well. Peace and salutations to all the Akimath on the Four Corners, teaching the truth and sincerity. This is Tasha Amath of the GM Status Camp, coming at you with a quick hit. Lord's willingness is edifying unto the hopeful elect. With the 2 videos that was played before, going into Trump and Pete Hegseth, these are the men that are implementing the draft. A draft dodger and someone that isn't qualified, to even be able to go to war, who was kicked out of the National Guard. Okay, even though, yes, he did receive 2 Bronze Stars, he did go to Iraq and I believe it was Afghanistan, but he didn't stand in his position. He couldn't stand the test of time. All right, he was removed. Pete Hegseth was removed, and now he has become the top-ranking commander on the field. And that's who you have to look forward to ruling over you if you accept those letters that will be sent out to all the YNs and all the men up to the age of 42. All right. But all that to say, these 2 men aren't qualified to even start a war. Hell, they're not even qualified in the positions that they're in. All right. But you know who is qualified? Yahweh Shemi Shai. He's qualified to be a general. He's qualified to lead in the army of the nation of Israel, which consists of your so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans of Negroid descent. Okay, because he is a wise judge. All right, and he instructs his people. Better yet, I'm going to pull a couple precepts. All right, so I'm going to start here, and this is Sirach chapter 10. I'm going to start at the top, starting in verse 1. It says, a wise judge will instruct his people, and the government of the prudent man is well ordered. So Yahweh Shemi Shai, he can, and will instruct his people, because I believe he said, if this was his kingdom, his servants will fight. Okay, so since this is not his kingdom, we are standing at the ready for Yahweh Shemi Shai to give the order. okay? And all that's going to come from Yahweh, and it's going to be passed down to Yahweh Shai, then passed down to us through the spiritual power and everything that's going to come with it, okay? Because right now, he has put us in the training phase, all right? And the training phase consists of, learning, finding out who you are, and going about the proper acts of times past, to be lifted up through the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. All right, we've been given wisdom to test us. Wisdom is a testing stick to see if you can stand, But I'll continue on. It says, as the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers, and what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are they that dwell therein. All right. So, what manner of man can stand? Which is Yahweh Shai. And we are mirroring Yahweh Shai upon the face of this earth. All right. So since we're mirroring him, all right, we are able to stand before our enemies. Okay. Continuing on, verse 3, it says, and Salakia, and this shows who we are, as we're following our king, our brother, into this hellish situation. Now, another one to get, I'm going to pull Wisdom of Solomon. This is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 8. I'll start at verse 14. Is it 14? All right, it's the Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 8, verse 14. And this is Solomon, but this is also Yahweh Shai, if you can accept it. All right. It says, I shall set the people in order, and the nations shall be subject unto me. So Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai is going to come and set all the people in order. All right. The people who didn't want to hear, didn't want to understand the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, in faith and in truth, and those people that wanted, to put on, Yahweh Shai to walk in this wicked ass kingdom. Okay. But I'll go to 15. It says, horrible tyrants shall be afraid when they do but hear of me. All right. I shall be found good among the multitude and valiant in war. So Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, though he came as a man, upon the earth, he was meek and humble at first, but when he comes back, he's going to come back as a mighty angelic force. Okay. Okay. Sorry about that. I had a call. But I'm back. So I believe we were at Wisdom of Solomon chapter 5, verse 18. It says, horrible tyrants shall be afraid when they do but hear of me. It says, I shall be found good among the multitude and valiant in war. So Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai is the only one that's going to be found good among the multitude, which the multitude consists of you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans of Negroid descent. Okay, and valiant in war, because we're about to see him take down all the other kingdoms. He's going to be he's going to come back as that mighty angelic force and do to the world what they have done to us, as being his people. All right. So with that, that should be the one that you look forward to or look towards, to be your salvation. Because Esau, Edom, or Donald Trump, which is a draft dodger, which did everything possible, not to go to war, in the Vietnam War, and Pete Hegseth, who has had a horrible career, in the National Guard. Keyword, I'm gonna keep saying that because he was never in the Army. He was never in the Marines. He was never in the Air Force. He was never in the Navy. Okay, he was National Guard. Okay, he was supposed to be protecting the shores of America. All right, they're not supposed to be doing any other type of conflict outside of the American soil. All right, but Yahweh Shai is going to going around to all the four corners of the earth, collecting the elect, all right, and putting down all these said kingdoms. All right, so I'll go to 16. It says, well, Salaki, I'll go back to that Sirach, chapter 10, verse 3. All right, because this is the king that's over America right now. All right, it says, an unwise king destroyeth his people. It says, but through the prudence of them which are in authority, the city shall be inhabited. All right, because that's what's going to transpire here on the shores of America. All right, because of an unwise king, the shores of America is going to be inhabited with foreign troops. Okay, because they transgress the ways of Yahweh by Shemi Shai. They choose not to deal uprightly. All right, because he is the devil that the Bible speaks of. He is the Esau Edom. All right, I'm gonna pull that John chapter 8, verse 44, because these people, they're not right, and even those that follow, they're not right. All right, because John chapter 8, verse 44, it says, ye are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father ye shall do, or you will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, all right, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. It says, when he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. So Donald Trump came out and lied, blatantly to the world, how they're in peace talks with Iran, but the reason why he lied is so the economy can grow for America. All right, and that's not the case. He's doing what his ancestors did. He's doing what Nero did. All right, whenever he lied upon the people or lied upon the Israelites, to basically boost his numbers, because Nero, he was a Caesar. He didn't see any military conflict. All right, but yeah, so everything that is being done because of the rulership, from the top down. All right, and all this is because of Yahweh Shemi Shai, because he's set the people people in order. He's set the pieces to this playing field. All right. But hey, this is just supposed to be a quick hit. I hope it was edifying unto the hopeful elect. All right. So, the water for listening. Shalom. Shalom.